It's all about Ukraine.
And it is also related to diplomacy.
Which is one of the heated topics these days.
It is some kind of a trap set by Donald Trump. They need to exploit this advantage. China is the main focus. Will spend more money on defense than welfare, as it should be. It's all about your resources, it's all about your military, it's all about your economic power. So if you want peace, you have to prepare for war.
Welcome to WestVU Diplomacy Series. As usual, today we have WestVU in-house geopolitics expert Shalita Bandara. So Shalita, today we have a very special topic to discuss about, which is one of the heated topic these days around the world. It's all about Ukraine. So Shalita, I will ask this in short and simple. What is your understanding the diplomacy game of Ukraine, how they handle this since the beginning until today? Give us some insights.
The fiasco happened during the discussion between President Trump and President Zelensky was very unfortunate. Probably, I think, one of the most unfortunate thing ever happened at White House. However, the thing is that Ukraine played a brilliant diplomatic game from the beginning of this war. Especially they gain international support. But when it comes to the discussion between the President Trump and President Zelensky, it didn't help anyone. The both parties lost at that point. I personally believe that the President Trump and President Zelensky should have get along fine. Much more than this, that because these two gentlemen are similar than we think. That, for example, that President Zelensky and President Trump both are political outsiders. They came to change their countries once and for all. But when this happened, the thing is, if you ask me what went wrong, I would say everything went wrong at that point, especially the dress code of President Zelensky. It was some kind of a mistake. I think we can understand his position. I mean, he's at a war, he's a wartime leader, and even Prime Minister Winston Churchill wear similar outfit. But the thing is, he should be more aware of the thing that some people keep telling that this is some kind of a trap set by Republicans. Even if it is a trap, Ukraine should handle it much better than this. And the thing is, when it comes to US counterparts, it was their fault too. I mean, I blame both parties. Don't get me wrong that I personally adore these two gentlemen, President Trump and Zelensky. But the thing is, they both made some mistakes in this case. When we talk about diplomatic discussions, they violated almost all the fundamentals, basics related to geopolitical and diplomatic discussions. We cannot see these things from people like Kissinger or Nixon or Reagan. So this is the only winner at that discussion was Russia. So that was the unfortunate part. They should have handled it better, both parties. The Zelensky should be more tactical when it's come to Trump. Donald Trump is like, we can work with him when we cooperate with him. If we going to war with him or we going to disagree with him in public, it is going to do much worse than it's already is. So the thing is that if we have goodwill gestures towards Trump, then he's going to cooperate. So the Zelensky had the upper ground at the start. He should do some goodwill gesture. For example, if I was there, I would presented President Trump some kind of a miniature of Kiev city. We're going to rebuild this city after the war, or going to discussion related to mineral deal or something. But it didn't happen. But however, the overall Zelensky's performance as a diplomat was brilliant. I would give him A plus when it's except for the situation at Oval Office. He handled most of the things outstandingly. when it's come to handle Europe, when it's come to handle his US counterparts, and even his statements as a spokesperson of his country. He did marvelous job, but this one is the one mistake that he made. However, after this mistake, we all know that US stopped all the military aids towards Ukraine, and it directly impacted negatively to the Ukraine army, because they did brilliantly when it's come to Kursk. They handled it very well during the August 2024. Overall, they did perfect job. But things they gained, things they sacrificed to gain, everything went in vain after this happened, because US stopped all the aids, and then Ukraine couldn't keep up with the Russian assault in Kursk, and now the front line at Kursk is already collapsed. But however, Ukraine always able to manage their defense line, front line inside the country, so it won't be much of a big issue when it's come to the eastern front of the war and the southern front of the war. However, that was the past. So after that, there was a discussion between these parties, the delegations from Ukraine and delegations from the United States of America. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, represented the American counterparts, and also Mike Waltz was there. He was the security advisor. And the other party, Ukraine, Zelensky selected one of the best of his diplomatic team, especially Yermak and the foreign minister and the defense minister. So in this movement, Ukraine handled that. The thing I already said, I mentioned that goodwill gesture. They presented Marco Rubio with the art, the icon of Holy Mother Mary. It was created by that wood box of ammunition. So it was some kind of a marvelous goodwill gesture. And I think they knew that Marco Rubio is a devoted Christian. So the thing is, they used that movement perfectly. And so the thing is, they had this constructive discussion, and they agreed to 30 days ceasefire. And also, with the result of this discussion, now US restored their military weapons aid. So that will be much helpful for Ukraine to maintain their defense line. However, when it's come to diplomacy, it is not just a discussion, it is much bigger than that. You need two things to negotiate. When you at the table, you clearly look at the results so far you gain in this war. So I think if Ukraine need to do much better, they have to do something iconic. So they need to get some iconic victory. They had some iconic victories. For example, they won the Battle of Kiev. They destroyed one of the largest Russian military convoys. So it was a big deal, but it happened about 2 years ago. And it gained several positive things to Ukraine. It helped to up their morale, and also it helped to keep their position in this war. So that kind of victory, the victory like Kherson, victory like Kharkiv, something like that, Ukraine need some iconic victory to gain their leverage in these future discussions. However, when it's come to Russia, they are skeptical about this 30 days of ceasefire. They think it is some kind of a trap set by Donald Trump. So Ukraine need to exploit this advantage, because if Russia not agree with this 30-day ceasefire, that means that Russia had this narrative that Ukraine started this war, they are the one should be blamed for this and all that. But now Ukraine agreed to ceasefire. So if Russia is not agreeing with even if the 30-day ceasefire, their narrative will be destroyed. So that is why the ball and the pressure is on Russia in this case. So now Ukraine have this chance, and I suggest them they need to grab this chance like never before. And the thing is, the Trump is very unpredictable. They cannot rely on USA all along. We don't know what is his planning and all that. And Ukraine should pressure Europeans to help them and let them to gain more leverage in this case. And at the same time, they have to work with United States of America with the mineral deal. And this is not going to, this is not that like you selling out your country. The things like mineral deal, you need much bigger investments, and America is a perfect candidate to provide more money, more infrastructure, and more technology to the Ukraine. So this mineral deal is going to be a fine deal for the Ukraine. And the thing is, they need some sort of a security guarantee, and Russia already against it, but they can have this discussion and come to some kind of a middle ground with the United States of America. At least give us some soldiers, or at least let European army to go there and create some kind of a buffer zone between the Russia and Ukraine, something like that. They need to get something related to security guarantee to the mineral deal. Otherwise, this deal is just fine for the both countries economically. And the thing we missed here is what Europe going to do in the future, and what kind of a future where Ukraine going to have after this war. And it is also related to diplomacy. So the thing is that now Europeans already know that they cannot count on the United States of America any longer, because America has much bigger fish to fry, because now China is the main focus to Trump administration. That is why they are keep eye on Greenland. That all because they need to counter China when it comes to North Sea. And they expect to provide more weapons to the Taiwan. They expect to work with Japan and South Korean counterparts for the sake of Taiwan. And they focus more on India and Australia and countries like that, Quad countries. So this is the thing. So Europeans need to understand that they have to be more independent, self-sufficient when it comes to defense. So hopefully the new German administration will spend more money on defense than welfare, as it should be, because now Europe has to wake up. Because when it's come to diplomacy, it's not just you dressing up well and come to discussion and have these fancy talks. It's all about your resources, it's all about your military, it's all about your economic power. So Europeans have to understand that, and they can learn lots of things from the war between Russia and Ukraine. And they already proposed things like 800 billion to defense productions and infrastructures and all that. They have to get these things done as soon as possible. And Europe and the Ukraine has to do is that the NATO thing. I personally believe the NATO membership for Ukraine is far away. It will take about 2 decades if they need to get this NATO membership. So instead that, they have to focus on some kind of a different security guarantee from Europe and from United States of America. And even China is important part, because Ukraine and China also have this strong relation. So they have to pay attention to that. And they probably try to get some European army, including Turkey, to protect their borders here. And also they have to build and maintain 800,000 to 1 million army for the future sake of Ukraine. And they probably will get the chance to become a part of Europe. There's a strong chance than never before, because even Russia agreed to Ukraine's membership at EU several times. So there's a strong chance Ukraine to become a European Council member. So it is a good sign to the Ukraine. And also Europe will even whether they like it or not, they have to agree that they have to reduce their welfare and increase their defense system, their security. So that is the things when it's come to Europe. And as a diplomatic expert, I am telling Ukraine, so my idea, my advice to them is be more positive, and at the same time work with both US and Europe, because without United States of America's help, it will be very difficult to get a better deal with this war. So they have to sign mineral deal, and at the same time they can make it more work for them than the others. And US also have to be more strong in this case, because if Ukraine fall, just in case, if Ukraine is going to under the grip of Russia, that will be a disastrous geopolitical catastrophe. So they have to focus on that because it will be some kind of a, it's not going to be an Afghanistan scenario. It is much more dangerous than that. So they have to understand this Russian threat very well. We need peace, but the peace and surrender is a two different thing. So they have to make Ukraine more strong and they have to be more firm on Russia, because if they need to get some things from Russia, then they have to be tough on them. And here, European leaders should listen to someone like Giorgia Meloni, Italian Prime Minister. She's very sensible person. People keep telling she's a far right and all that, but she is now the face of European Union, and European Union should follow people like Giorgia Meloni and Emmanuel Macron. And Giorgia Meloni quoted that famous Roman saying, if you want peace, you have to prepare for a war. Because without proper military victories, you cannot bring peace to your nation. Stable peace, we mean, because surrender is totally different. So you have to be prepared for a war to gain stable, everlasting peace.